let's move on to the NFC North then. Okay, he's on the call. He's wearing his jersey. He's got his little Packers bobblehead thing in the background as well. So come on, Ollie. Why are the Packers finally going to get over the hump this year?
I don't think they will.
Oh, God. Right, Simon's a more positive Packers fan than you are.
Yeah, I know, and he's only a secondary Packers fan. Bakhtiari's back. That's the main thing. That he was off the pup list. Absolutely needed for that offensive line. The offensive line, which has lost pieces, and
is Jenkins off as well?
No, Jenkins is there as well.
Back at right tackle, isn't he, Elton Jenkins?
Exciting. That is exciting if they're both healthy.
So if Bakhtiari's back and playing, because he's been out for almost 2 years now, that's huge. And if the offensive line's working, then you can really trust Aaron Rodgers, you'd hope, to get a tune out of this young group of receivers. And Romeo Doubs is looking great so far in practice and in preseason. And that's something that could happen. We want him or Walton or someone just to come up and claim that number one spot, because Devontae Adams is a huge loss leaving. However, Devontae Adams was part of the offense that only scored 10 points at home in a playoff game at Lambeau for us not to advance. And so I'm not saying that he's the problem, but him going could be good for everybody else, because all the focus isn't on Devontae Adams anymore.
To me, that's no force. That's what I'd written. No Devontae Adams. I think, as great as he is, this means less reliance on the best wide receiver in football. And in many ways, I think it diversifies and it opens up the Packers' offense. And you go back to that 49ers game where, and it's much talked about. Rodgers has talked about it himself. On that huge third down play, back end of the game, he threw to Devontae Adams deep down the field into triple coverage and fell incomplete when he had Allen Lazard running over. Allen Lazard would still be running now if that throw had gone to him. So I think what it does, the young guys will have to step up. You'll see more diversity. I think you're going to see Aaron Jones and Thunder Thighs with sort of 55 plus catches this season. I think
AJ Dillon.
I think the defense is absolutely loaded. And I think, like you said, if you can get a tune out of Romeo Doubs, who's been one of the stars of camp across the NFL, Christian Watson, I know he's had the surgery, but it's starting to come back, doing individual work. Amari Rodgers is slimmed down, looks a much better player. Samori Touré's played well. I think look out for this Green Bay team, because I just think that over-reliance on Adams, as great as he was, I think it made them a bit too stale. And now I think, in a way, it re-energizes Aaron Rodgers, that he's got these kids that he can, pass on to the next generation, because all of a sudden Jordan Love begins to look like a player that, okay, preseason, he's had a couple of really good games, had a very strong camp, looks like he's getting it. And, there's a baton to be passed with these young guys coming up. And to me, having no Devontae Adams, I think a lot of Green Bay fans will feel like, well, we're going to struggle. I see it as the opposite way.
And it could be great for Rodgers, for him to have gone, because now Rodgers is undisputably the number one man. And if he gets a tune out of it, it plays to his ego even further, doesn't it? He is the guy. He's the guy that got this ragtag bunch of non-first rounders to the Super Bowl and maybe win it. I mean, oh my God, Simon, you've got me pumped for this. Come on.
You're both ignoring. You're both ignoring the most important thing that happened to the Green Bay Packers this offseason, and highlighted to me by the opening play of the first preseason game with San Francisco, which was a 10-yard penalty on the special teams unit, because they now have Rich Bisaccia. They now have a special teams coordinator who knows what he's doing, who proved himself to do a decent job of being a head coach in Las Vegas as well. And that's been such a huge issue for them. It's cost them games left, right, and centre. If the special teams is league average, they have enough everywhere else to be a very successful team.
100%.
That's all they need from them.
Like retaining Adam Stinovich there, who was then the offensive line coach, has now moved to offensive coordinator. It was absolutely huge. You look at what they've done with their linemen. Ollie talked about Bakhtiari, but Josh Nijman kept filled in last year and played at a really solid level. You've got obviously Elton Jenkins, one of the best young players at any position coming back, played left guard, could play right tackle. The kids they drafted, Zach Tom, the kid out of Wake Forest, was a left tackle at Wake, could play centers, played all over the lines, taking first team reps, inside, outside. Josh Myers has come back from injury. Royce Newman has started. John Runyon has played well. Sean Ryan, the kid they got out of UCLA, was a They've moved to guard, but he was a left tackle in the Pac-10. Rashid Walker at Penn. I mean, the good players on the offensive, whoever's scouting offensive line for the Green Bay Packers is doing a hell of a job, and that's historical as well.
Let's talk the Minnesota Vikings, who I was looking through the last year's record for so many of these teams and realised that, considering how I feel about them today, the number of them that hit 7 wins, 8 wins, were in and around 500 was kind of a real testament to how that's quite doable in the NFL. Like, these teams who have got win totals of 4.5 and 3.5 as their lines with the betting companies. There is, I understand, a positivity and change, new head coach, new GM, things are changing there. I look at the roster, it looks weaker than last year to me. And, okay, they needed to refresh on defense. They've done that. They've got a very young and exciting safety. But this feels like this is a year where you want to take the positivity from the looking to the future rather than what you've got for this year. Is that fair, Simon?
For me, the reason to be positive for the Vikings, and I think the end of the Mike Zimmer era is not before time to me. And some fans listening and watching this will kind of be like, "What's he on about?" Yeah, again. But to me, it's Kirk Cousins. He's the quarterback equivalent of a sort of a dad joke. He gets no national love. I think fans generally around the league think he sucks. Yeah, he can be prone to the occasional backbreaking error. But look, last year he threw for 4,221 yards, 33 touchdowns, just 7 picks, 103.1 passer rating. Over the last 2 years, out of the 61 qualifying quarterbacks, he's the only one to rank in the top 10 for yards per attempt, EPA per attempt, and accuracy. He's got really good players at the skill positions in terms of Adam Thielen. Justin Jefferson is ready to step up to be, potentially take the crown from Devontae Adams as the best receiver in the NFL. Dalvin Cook is still there. I don't think any team should wish away a top 10, top 12 quarterback, which is probably what Kirk Cousins is, So I think you can still build around this guy. I just worry about the peripheral pieces in terms of, they've got a raw head coach, they've got a raw general manager, all of these things that sort of, what's happening at cornerback, obviously you've got Harrison Smith, what's happening at, at end, what's happening, who's good, the center, that's all of these little things are a question mark for me. But I think part of the stability and part of the reason why they're going to be competitive is the fact they've got a top 12 quarterback in Kirk Cousins. And I think, if you're a Vikings fan, it's always great to think the grass is always greener on the other side. But trust me, as a Dolphins fan, it's not always that way. We've been a quarterback for 20, 25 years. I think, you embrace the fact that you've got this guy who can win you football games. So he's good enough to do it with a receiving core, with a running back, with an offensive line. That's going to develop as well with Darisaw and those guys. Brian O'Neill, obviously a really good unheralded right tackle, kid out of Pitt on the right side. So yeah, I think Kirk Cousins is the reason to be cheerful.
I'm going to test Olly's mettle here. I wondered if I should come to him again during the NFC North, during our NFC Positivity podcast. But Olly, give me a reason for the Bears to be cheerful going into 2022.
I've got so many. They've got a new orange helmet and a new orange jersey. Orange is my favourite colour. It's throwback. #KitWatch. They are a dreadful team. They are a dreadful, dreadful team. Asset stripping. They're positive. The positivity is that in 2023 they're going to be taking the number 1 pick. That's their positive.
It's absolutely brutal to a team that, Matt Eberflus comes in and shows that previously he works when he's got stars at every level. They've got Robert Quinn's come back, Roquan Smith's come back, Justin Fields. Many Bears fans believe that he's going to be a great player. I'm not expecting this team to be good this year by any stretch of the imagination, but they do feel like a team who, they are one of those who have that really ridiculous win-loss low, very low, like 3.5, 4.5 kind of set. And I don't know, are they that bad, Simon?
Yeah, I think they're the worst team in football. I think it's a really bad roster, and to be honest, it's hard to find that much hope. I was going to say Ryan Poles, the GM, gave hope, but actually drafted a kick returner in the 3rd round when Justin Fields is absolutely crying out for skill position talent. So really, the best I could do, I'm a big fan of Luke Getsy, the offensive coordinator, so hopefully he can be a bit of a force for change. And you hope the scheme overcomes some pretty serious talent deficiencies. But I will say this to worried Bears fans, okay? Vince Lombardi started his career 1-1 in the preseason. Matt Eberflus is now 2-0. Take that for what you will. Take that for what you will. But it's a little nugget of hope.
I'm sorry, Bears fans. I tried. I did try. But I'm not going to... sorry, Ollie, but I'm not going to keep focusing on this team while you are trying to ruin the rampant positivity podcast. And, the Detroit Lions. People are loving them. Right now, they are the kind of hot team, thanks in no small part to Hard Knocks, but a great offensive line. They improved the weapons. They've got a head coach that everyone loves to get behind. They only won 3.5 games last year, 3 games and a tie. Yeah. Positivity-wise, there's no way that they're not looking at least up this year.
They've got 2 wins, at least, because they're playing the Bears twice. And they'll take a win off the Vikings, so they only need half a win now. What's that, a draw? A tie to
level last weekend.
To level to the classic Tory leveling up. That's exactly what they are. Hard Knocks has made them relevant. Because like that Taylor Swift song, I forgot they existed.
They play Washington and Seattle in the first 4 weeks. They could have 2 wins already come week 4. Hold
up. Are the Lions at... No. Look, they've got some interesting pieces. I like Jamal Williams. He seems like a real leader on Hard Knocks, and we've spoken to him, and they need leaders in a locker room which has got some young players. Aiden Hutchinson's going to be...
I like the receiving core as well. I'd like DJ Shark coming in and offering a bit more of a stretch of the field potential. And Amon-Ra St. Brown had an excellent second half to last season, showing out that he has number 1 upside potential. I'm not saying he's there yet, but he's got that potential there. DeAndre Swift's a great running back. Jared Goff is obviously the huge question mark, Simon, but improve everything around him and then go and get one of these young guys next year.
Yeah, I think it's all about the small steps. That, for me, is the positivity. I think Brad Holmes has done a decent job in the draft. I think Dan Campbell is absolutely the right man for the job, and I hope that he's given time to continue taking these small steps. 3.5 wins last year could go to 6 or 7 this year. And to me, that's, I don't think Detroit fans should necessarily be thinking about the playoffs, but I think, 6-7 wins is an absolute possibility. And the team has got some core talent, some real core talent. Not enough, but it has some. Frank Ragnow, one of the best centers in the league. The offensive line generally is very good. Really good tackles in Decker and Pienaar Sewell, Logan Sternberg at guard. They're deep at running back with Swift and Justin Jackson. You mentioned the Williams kid at Green Bay. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a good receiver. TJ Hawkinson is a good tight end. Defensively, Aleem McNeil, Onwazurike, 2 young guys who should train on. Charles Harris, redemption story. Romeo Okwara when he gets back healthy. The corners are, they've got Amani, the kid out of Penn State, whose second name I can never pronounce. Onwazurike, Aiden Hutchinson, obviously, Jameson Williams in the draft, Malcolm Rodriguez, who's going to start at linebacker. I loved coming out. Chark, you mentioned. Can they keep taking the small steps? Can they show this progression? And then can you get these high draft picks like a Jeff Okudah in the secondary and Ifeatu Melifonwu? Can they start to come to the party as well? Jeff Okudah had a really good, quietly had a really good camp, was very good. Against I think did they practice against the Raiders last week? And I think Okudah played very well in the 2-day practices. If he can take a step up, all of a sudden this team is looking better and better and better. And you can get to the pass, you can get to the quarterback internally with McNeil and Onwazurike. You can get outside with Harris and with Okwara. You've obviously got Aiden Hutchinson, who's going to play all 3 downs. Offensively, you can be diverse with the ball. You're going to have a deep threat with Chark. When Jameson Williams comes back, you're going to have a serious deep threat. You can go underneath with Hopkinson and Amon-Ra St. Brown. You've got Josh Reynolds, who's a good, solid player. So, there's some talent there. And I think these small steps that will take you to 7-8 wins, I don't think is beyond the realms of possibility for Detroit.